taking my seat here in just a minute.
Yeah. All right. Well, looks like we got. Let's see here. Oh man, we need to change the scorecard here. So we got. Let's see here. Aquatic. That's passed. Versus Tucker. Oh my gosh, no way. Again. WAMMER. Also against pass. Alright, and then we got this down to 0. Gosh, I did it again. I gotta skip it at the top. Nope. Wait a second, and then reconnect. Alright. Give it a second. Man, I wish the cursor wouldn't like leave from the thing every time I'm trying to get on.
Oh, Tucker opting to go Joker to start out with.
Yeah, he's been. He claims Joker is pretty cheap.
Well, when it comes to DLC characters, Joker definitely has the cheese, as it were. And
Yeah.
there it is, right on cue. I'm starting to think that and there's the other piece of cheese right there with the counter immediately.
Well,
This movement is pretty smooth. Good read on Cody's part there, though. Good attempt at the edge guard. Unfortunately, just not quite able to get it. Good recovery. All right, ledge pressure situation. We'll see what Cody does. Fortunately, getting hit by that dash attack. Really good, really good punish in neutral. Allows him to get stage control back.
he's like. I can see why Tucker likes Joker because he loves Sheik, and it's kind of like a more viable Sheik. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. As I recall, Void very lovingly dubbed this better Sheik when the character first came out.
I mean, it's true. I mean, like,
It totally is.
it's 100% better. But
No, it's the character. Instead of doing the forward airs, you substitute it out for back airs, and you've got basically the same kind of game plan.
you have a counter that practically kills at most percentages off ledge, and especially with Arson.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, it would have to be with Arson, otherwise the counter doesn't
And
come
then
out.
and Joker's back air is like will kill anything twice as compatible than Sheik's any kill option can.
Absolutely. So the only thing you're really missing is the balancing fish confirms off stage. But then, of course, you can also just use side B with Arsene, and that'll kill too. So
All right.
Joker's just a dangerous character overall. I do have to say, though, I really appreciate the balance team's willingness to not do any nerfs for at least the past 2 or 3 patches. It's like bring up all the other characters that are struggling a little bit, give them a few more tools, see how that works out. And they're not going to be making a top tier out of a bottom tier just off of one single change necessarily, but at the very least you're giving characters a chance to compete, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Also, too, like there's really no reason to put some hard nerfs yet because there is almost every character in the game is viable.
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing too, I would say, call it broken, but I would say that there's some characters I think have more slight advantage in certain situations. But this game's a lot about counterplay too, I've noticed.
Oh, absolutely. Counterplay, getting those tiny bits of spacing out. Plus, with the huge, massive nerfs that happen to shield in this version of the game, and also the massive nerfs that happen with grab, you're starting to see like the typical Smash defensive gameplay idea just go down the window. You're starting to see more attacks that are safe on shield. You're starting to see more bait and punish, like that right there. A really good example of it with that forward smash. I really appreciate the pace that the game is able to compete at, even though it doesn't have Melee's movement.
Agreed. Yeah, no, it definitely has a better pace, and gosh, this game triumphs Smash 4 so freaking much.
It kind of messes
there's pros and cons to both, but I would say there's more pros with Ultimate than there is with Smash 4.
Oh, I'd agree with that completely. My personal opinion, of course, but like, yeah, it's
Bring back dash dancing and not dash. I'm sorry, pivot grabs from Smash 4. Those were, I feel like, a lot more connecting.
pivot grabs are good. Part of the
Jab
reason
combos. I mean, those were sick. I miss jab combos.
Part of the problems with the pivot grabs, though, is that one of the big reasons why this game could be so offensively oriented and you could put is the fact you can actually put somebody in the corner by making it so that way they can't run through you.
Yeah.
So when you have ledge trapping situations, it's a true ledge trapping situation. It's not what option are they going to use really quickly to get on stage to run past me. Fox was notorious for like being able to run past somebody and then just pivot grab and put you in the grinder too. So like I appreciate the choice as far as the gameplay is concerned.
Yeah, there's a couple characters that have a little bit more, dynamics now, like Sheik, but I would say that overall, with a couple more buffs instead of nerfs, I feel like this game would be so like perfectly balanced that it just, no matter what, someone's going to be upset about it.
Okay.
But I feel like with a couple more buffs, it would be a lot more inviting for people to have fun because everyone feels like their character is not viable. And with the certain buffs, like Donkey Kong recently, with his specific buffs, it made him a little bit more viable in tournament. In fact, brought Konga out of like retirement pretty quick because that's what he wanted. But he still says that there's no big changes. But I mean, it's probably just a psychological effect for him.
Well, a lot of that, like, I agree with you completely as far as like making the bus is concerned. I think it's putting characters in a situation where they can actually fill niches as well.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not viable against every matchup in the game, but if you put a situation where Donkey Kong is playing up against another character that primarily sits on the ground, that downbeat change makes a huge difference in gameplay.
Yeah. No,
So
right.
like I agree with you completely. I think you're really onto something with that.
It's man. So it looks like Aquatic's having a hard time really spacing out Joker because Joker's just going in with every chance he can.
Yeah, Peach has a lot of really safe buttons, a lot of really quick options, but the problem is if you got a disjoint, you have to be, you're going up against a disjoint, you have to be really careful about how you approach stuff. Looks like WAMMER with a really quick 2-0.
Yeah, looks like it was a pretty cool one. But then again, they're practice buddies, so it just the dynamics of the outcome. I mean, you're going to play your buddy at some point.